everybody, it's a work day here in the shop, so it's a bit of a mess, but I got a lot of feedback from my adjustable scope review, and I wanted to just follow up with some more numbers, some more information for you, some pictures, and then I also got a question of how much difference does it make downrange? If I adjust my scope, say 1 degree, how much difference is it going to make? So I got that set up in the vise over there, so I can get exactly 1 degree. I got tape measure downrange 100 yards, so we can see what that looks like. So without further ado, let's get into it. The FX rings I did on the last video, and then for these guys, I wanted to set a new baseline just to make sure the numbers were accurate for you guys. So I put the Eagle Visions on, Vision scope mounts on. I got 2.2 at the wide stance. When I brought them in narrow, I got 3.1 degrees. The ATP 61s, I think they're 61s. Those are the only vertical adjustment ones. Same thing, wide stance, I got 0.5 degrees. I think that matches the last video. And then when I brought them close in, I got 0.8 degrees. So not much difference there with the sports match. But again, I'm a fan of them because I like that set screw and how it adjusts. You can really fine tune adjust it there. ATP 66, these are the ones that go vertical and horizontal adjustments. And that's actually what's sitting on here right now. Those I got 0.7 degrees. I got a comment saying that I would get a lot more out of these. And 0.2 degrees, it is more, yes, but not a whole lot more. So, yeah, if you were thinking you were going to get like twice as much, you're really not. And then, let's see, 1.3 degrees when I brought them in close. So, there's your numbers, far away, close together. Now let's see what kind of difference can we see downrange with each degree of angle that I add to my scope.
100 yards down 3 degrees up 3.4 mils right 1 mil.
Alright guys, what I got for you is a simple setup here. I clamped a rail in the vise, mount the scope to the rail, all that kind of good stuff. This bungee cord is because the Seaman mount puts so much weight in the back and I have to keep both mounts loose in order to adjust that I need a little bit of counterbalance. So stuck it up there, put a little tension on it, and it's holding good. Up here you can see 3.8 degrees. Now I tested this before filming, and if I go a full degree at 100 yards, I'm looking at the ground. So I'm only going to go 0.5 degrees. So 3.8 plus 0.5 is 4.2. Oh, and what you can see in the camera is I've got a tape measure down there, and I just hung it on my 100-yard target. .0, 4.1, 4.2. That, to me, through this camera, really hard to see. Looks to be about 32. Yeah, it's right about 32. So we're going to try it again. I know it's hard to see, guys. I've always struggled with this camera mount. It's actually not the mount itself, it's the camera. I've always struggled trying to use it and get it to focus in right. So 3.8 again, let's go. .2, and it looks even shy. It looks almost to be about 30. Yep, that's on a 30. So what that's telling me, guys, is that at 100 yards, for a half degree, I'm getting about 32 inches of adjustment. So 1 degree is going to be 64 inches of adjustment. That's over 5 feet for 1 degree of angle on my scope. If you want to know what you're going to do at 50 yards, take 50% of that number. If you want to see what 1 degree is going to do at 75, take 75% of that number, and so on and so forth. So that kind of gives you a baseline of what you can expect with these adjustable scope mounts. And what that also helps you to figure out is how much adjustment do you really need. take the Eagle Visions, for example, since I measured those today, 2.2 degrees at 100 yards, that's 12 feet of adjustment. That's a long ways, you know what I mean? So kind of keep that in mind. You can see these Eagle Visions, which my personal favorite, I'll admit, they don't give you much. You know, I said on here, what, 0.5 or 0.7 or something like that. They don't give you much adjustment, but that's going to be huge downrange. And the whole point, don't forget, the whole point of having adjustable scope rings is so that you can keep your optics, your scope, optically zeroed, kind of lines up all those lenses inside, gives you a better picture without any kind of distortion or anything like that, without maxing out your turrets. So in order to use these properly, you want to make sure optically zero your scope first, and then adjust your rings, and then get them as close to where you're shooting at, you know, get them as close as you can, and then use your turrets. Nothing saying you can't use your turrets. By all means, use them. But when you start maxing out those turrets, that's when you're going to run into problems, and you might have some difficulties. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this little short video. As always, happy shooting, and thanks for watching. Guys, as I was cleaning up, I thought to mention one more thing. This is the scope I used for this test. It's a Hammers 4-16 by 50. It's a cheap first focal plane scope. This is a Hawk TMX, I don't even know what size it is, something to 30 by 50 as well, probably 5 to 30, 50. And the box in the middle, the turret box here, there's a pretty significant difference. And the reason I mention it is because of bringing these mounts close together. On this scope that I used, the closest I could get them was about 2 3/8, call it 2.5 inches. That's pretty wide still, especially compared to the Hawk TMX, which measures in at about 1.25 inches. So you're going to get a little more angle out of a scope with a smaller box in the center. That's all.